If you've been quiet lately, not sad, just quiet, and the work has gotten harder while the noise around it has gone dead, listen carefully. You have been taught to read that as a warning. It isn't. Almost everything that feels like proof you're failing is actually proof you've entered the last stretch, and nobody ever described that stretch to you, so you've been misreading it your whole life. So tonight I'm not going to encourage you. I'm going to give you a map. 6 signs that you are closer than you think. Understand what's at stake. If you don't learn to read these signs, you will misread your own life. You'll walk away from the right thing at the wrong time. You'll trade a season of discomfort for a decade of wondering. And here's the cruel part, you'll never know how close you were. That's the tax on quitting early. Not the failure. The not knowing. Think of your life as a season of farming. You don't argue with a field in March. You don't dig up the seed to check on it. You water, you weed, you wait, and you trust the soil. The problem is most people were raised on microwaves and expect harvests on microwave timing. Farming doesn't work that way. Neither does a life. So let's talk about what the field looks like right before it turns green. Music. 1. You have stopped needing an audience. There was a season where you needed people to see it. You posted the progress. You told your friends about the plan. You needed the nod, that's amazing. The little hit of approval that made the work feel real. And I'm not going to shame you for that, everybody starts there. Approval is training wheels. It keeps you upright until your own balance shows up. But here's where most people get stuck. They never take the training wheels off. They build a whole life around being seen doing the thing instead of doing the thing. And when the audience gets quiet, and the audience always gets quiet, they stop. Their fuel was never the work. Their fuel was the watching. Watch what's happening to you now. You've gone quiet. You're not announcing anymore. You're doing the work in a room where nobody claps. And this is the part that surprises you, you don't mind. That's not depression. That's not isolation. That's your motivation moving from the outside to the inside. And it's the single most reliable predictor of who finishes. Here's what to do today. Pick one thing you're working on and commit to not telling anyone about it for 30 days. Not one person. No post, no update, no casual mention at dinner. Let it grow underground where nobody can trample it. At the end of 30 days you'll notice something. The work got easier, not harder. Because you stopped spending energy on being perceived and started spending all of it on being effective. Approval is a loan. Standards are an asset. You're building an asset now. 2. Your old friends have gotten strange around you. Nobody warns you about this one, so it hurts more than it should. The people who knew you before start acting different. There's a beat of silence when you mention what you're building. The jokes get a little sharper. Someone says, "Look at you, too good for us now," and laughs, and you laugh, and neither of you means it. Most people read this as a signal to shrink. They dial themselves back down to the temperature of the room. Because belonging feels safer than becoming, and they stay in that room for 30 years. This is why so few people change, not because change is hard, but because change is lonely for a while, and loneliness is harder than hard. But understand what's actually happening. You're not becoming arrogant. You're becoming unfamiliar. And unfamiliar is uncomfortable for people who mapped you a long time ago and never updated the map. Their reaction is not about your character. It's about your velocity. When you speed up, the people standing still feel like they're moving backward. And that feeling has to go somewhere. So don't burn the bridges. Just stop crossing them so often. Here's your action. This week, name 3 people who make you feel bigger after a conversation, and 3 who make you feel smaller. Then adjust your calendar, not your personality. Give the first 3 more of your Tuesday nights. Give the second 3 your warmth, your kindness, and less of your time. You're not abandoning anyone. You're just done asking permission to grow from people who never planned to. 3. You've started getting bored of your own excuses. This is a strange, wonderful moment and most people miss it entirely. You catch yourself reaching for the familiar line, "I don't have time, I'm not ready," once things calm down and something in you goes flat. You've heard it too many times. It doesn't move you anymore. It's a song you've overplayed. Most people never reach this. They keep their excuses fresh by rotating them. Money one month, timing the next, the economy, the family, the boss, the childhood. As long as the excuse feels new, it feels true. The tragedy isn't that people lie to themselves. It's that they're so good at it they never get bored. Boredom with your own story is the beginning of a new one. It means the part of you that knows better has finally gotten louder than the part of you that's comfortable. Don't rush past it. That flatness is the sound of self-deception dying. Here's the step. Take out your phone right now and write down the exact sentence you use most often to explain why you haven't started. Word for word. Then underneath it, write the smallest possible action that makes that sentence false today. Not this year. Today. If it's "I don't have time," the action is 15 minutes at 5:45 a.m. If it's "I don't know how," the action is 1 video, 1 chapter, 1 phone call. The excuse dies when the evidence contradicts it. Build the evidence. 4. You've stopped needing the outcome to feel good about the day. There was a time when a bad day meant a bad number. No sale, no callback, no progress on the scale, and the whole day was ruined. Your mood was renting space in results you couldn't control. That's how most people live, and it's why most people burn out. They tied their self-respect to an outcome that answers to timing, luck, other people's decisions, and 100 variables nobody owns. You can do everything right and lose. If your peace depends on winning, your peace will always be somebody else's to give. But something's shifting in you. You've started measuring the day by what you put in, not what came back. You did the reps, you made the calls. You sat down and wrote the thing, and the day counted, regardless. That's not lowered expectations. That's you taking your hands off the harvest and putting them back on the plow, where they always belonged. Do this tonight. Define one input you fully control and make it your scoreboard for the next 2 weeks. Not get a client. Not lose 5 pounds. Choose 20 outreach messages a day, or 40 minutes of movement, or 1 page written. Track it on paper where you can see it. 2 weeks of that and something changes in how you walk. You stop hoping and start knowing, because you've got a record of yourself keeping your word. 5. The work has gotten harder and you've stopped complaining about it. Early on, difficulty felt like a sign you were in the wrong place. Now it feels like the price. Something matured in you and you probably didn't notice the day it happened. Most people spend their entire lives looking for the version of the work that isn't hard. The easier business, the simpler diet, the shortcut, the hack, the system that finally clicks. And every time it gets difficult, they read that as evidence they picked wrong. So they switch. 20 years of switching. 10 shallow holes, no well. But you're digging in one place now. You've noticed the difficulty isn't going away, and you've stopped waiting for it to. You've started building the capacity instead. That's the whole game. The problem doesn't shrink. You grow. And a person who has stopped negotiating with difficulty is a person very close to a breakthrough. Your action. Name the hardest part of your work, the specific task you avoid most, and schedule it first tomorrow. Before email, before the phone, before anyone needs you. Do the hard thing when you're strongest, not when you're leftover. Most people spend their best hours on their easiest work and wonder why the important things never move. 6. You've started thinking in years instead of weeks. This is the last sign and the biggest. You've stopped asking how fast. You've started asking how far. Most people massively overestimate what one intense month will do and completely underestimate what 5 quiet years will do. That miscalculation ends more dreams than any failure ever has. They sprint at a marathon, collapse at mile 3, and conclude they weren't built for it. But you've started doing the long arithmetic. You've caught yourself thinking about where this puts you at 40, at 50. You've started making decisions that cost you today and pay you in 2031. That's not patience, that's power. Because the moment you extend your timeline, you become nearly impossible to defeat. A setback stops being an ending and becomes a Tuesday. Here's what to do. Write down one number, the year, 5 years out. Under it, write one sentence describing who you'll be. Then ask of every choice this week, does this serve that person? Or the person I'm trying to stop being? That question, asked honestly a few hundred times, is a life. Music. And here's the thing underneath all 6 of these. Every one of them is the same event wearing a different coat. You're becoming somebody who doesn't need the reward to keep going. That's it. That's the whole secret. Success isn't something that arrives, it's something that catches up to a person who was going to do it anyway. The field doesn't turn green because you wanted it to. It turns green because you were still there in March. So run them back. You stopped needing an audience. Your old rooms feel small. Your excuses bore you. Your peace no longer depends on results. The difficulties stopped scaring you, and your timeline stretched out past the horizon. Those aren't signs you're struggling. Those are signs you're arriving. Here's your one instruction. Pick the sign that hit you hardest, take the single action attached to it, and do it before you sleep tonight. Not the plan, the action. Because your future isn't a lottery you're waiting to win. It's a field you're standing in right now, with a seed in your hand and daylight left. Nobody's coming to plant it for you, and after tonight, nobody has to.